This story right here is a gigantic corruption scandal, and it's not getting nearly the coverage that it deserves. So there's two pieces to it. I got to tell you what already happened, what we already covered, and then the new piece to it, which is just mind-boggling, man. You guys are going to be floored by this. So Ken Paxton is the Republican Attorney General in Texas. And this guy's got 1,000,001 scandals. So this was from May. This is what happened in May. What to know about Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's long-running scandals and legal battles. Less than a year into his first term, Paxton was charged with felony securities fraud. The Justice Department is investigating bribery allegations against him as a Texas House committee conducts its own probe into his behavior. So they say Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, the state's top lawyer and one of its most powerful and controversial Republicans, has faced criminal investigations, legal battles, and accusations of wrongdoing for years. Still, he's remained popular with Texas voters, and in 2022 was elected to serve a third 4-year term. But after Paxton asked state budget writers to spend public money on a proposed $3.3 million settlement to end a lawsuit by former staffers who accused him of on-the-job retaliation, the Texas House General Investigating Committee launched a secret probe into the Attorney General's behavior. In a stunning public hearing on May 24th, House investigators publicly detailed allegations of years-long pattern of misconduct and questionable actions by Paxton. On May 25th, the committee unanimously recommended that Paxton be impeached and moved from office. He was already impeached, but he hasn't been removed from office just yet. In fact, that is coming up very shortly, the hearing. It's going to sort of like a trial, but in a legislative context, and they're going to determine whether or not his ass is going to get kicked out of office. Paxton has fought criminal securities fraud charges for most of his tenure. In July 2015, less than a year after Paxton was sworn into office, he was indicted on felony securities fraud charges for allegedly persuading investors to buy stock in McKinney-based Servergy Inc., without disclosing that he would be compensated for it. So using his public position to get some action, to get a piece of the money, directing funds in an improper way. The case has been delayed multiple times over several rounds of appeals, including unsuccessful efforts by defense lawyers to dismiss the charges against Paxton and ongoing efforts by prosecutors to fight to keep the trial in Harris County instead of moving it back to Collin County, where Paxton has lived. Paxton has denied wrongdoing and asserted that the case is politically motivated. He faces up to 99 years in prison if convicted. In 2016, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission also sued Paxton over securities fraud related to his actions on behalf of Servergy. A federal judge dismissed that lawsuit a year later. Top employees accused Paxton of bribery and abusing his office. So there were people in the office who were blowing the whistle on him because he was doing brazen acts of bribery. He has a political donor named Nate Paul, and who's an Austin real estate investor. And Paxton was doing favors for him for money. His office blew the whistle on it. Then Paxton retaliated against his office. And then all this was like detailed. There's an FBI investigation going on over it. The whistleblower sued Paxton, claiming he retaliated against them. Guys, the laundry list of crimes for this guy is honestly endless. And then also you have the attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Just wild abuse of authority and overreach of power. So this guy, who's basically a walking crimes man, sort of like George Santos, groups supporting impeached Attorney General Ken Paxton gives presiding officer $3 million ahead of trial. The director of Defend Texas Liberty PAC said the donation was to support Lieutenant Governor Patrick's work in the recent legislative session. So this guy, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, is supposed to oversee the impeachment hearing where they're going to determine whether or not this guy's going to be removed from office. Ken Paxton will be removed from office. And he just got a $3 million donation from a group that is supporting Ken Paxton. Now, of course, the speculation is, okay, who gave them that $3 million and how did it get to Lieutenant Governor Patrick and how is this legal and did it come from Paxton himself? Defend Texas Liberty PAC has urged Republican lawmakers to vote against removing impeached Attorney General Ken Paxton. Campaign records published Tuesday show that the group has also given a $1 million donation and $2 million loan to the presiding officer over the Paxton case in the Texas Senate, Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. The Texas House voted overwhelmingly to impeach Paxton in late May. The donation came in almost a month later. In September, 30 members of the Texas Senate will vote on whether to remove Paxton from office, and Patrick will serve in a capacity similar to a judge deciding many procedural issues which may come up. Luke Macias, director of Defend Texas Liberty PAC, told NBC5 the donation was to support Patrick's work this past legislative session. During the spring, Patrick was the driving force for many issues, most recently a historic homestead exemption within a property tax package. Yeah, I'm sure that's what you care about. Along with earlier measures restricting abortion and transgender medical treatment. The Senate delivered some very strong wins, and they deserve credit for the wins that they delivered. When asked about the criticism over how some may see the donation as trying to sway the trial in Paxton's favor, Macias reiterated the donation was to support Patrick's work in recent legislative session in pushing the Texas House to be more conservative. Dan Patrick did a phenomenal job this session, and we're proud to support the work he did. This is amazing. Now, by the way, I would also say they better look into all the 30 lawmakers who are going to determine this guy's fate, his future, Paxton's future. See if they're getting donations of tremendous sums at the moment. By the way, this guy, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, he is not up for election until I think it's like 2026. Which means not only is he getting a $3 million donation, he's getting it at like a down season time. And he's getting it from the group that's supporting Paxton. Guys, this is literally the clearest case of bribery I've ever seen in my life. This is the clearest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, I'm sorry, man. They should... not only would I be looking at jail time for Ken Paxton, shit, if I was the head prosecutor, I'd be going after Lieutenant Governor Patrick, too. I mean, this is unconscionable. This should be a giant news story. Look at the way the system works. So you can basically commit any crime you want, delay, and then when there is some accountability and there's impeachment in the House in Texas, even though he's not kicked out of office yet, then you try to bribe your way into not getting kicked out of office. Man, dark, dark stuff. Lock them up. This is as corrupt as anything I've ever seen in my life. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.